Video opens with a vast, serene view from above the clouds. The sun glares brightly. A tiny, silhouetted human figure is visible, perfectly still for a moment against the endless blue. It's a moment of absolute transition, a threshold crossed not in space, but in state. One instant, you're supported. The next, you are not. The exact second you leave the solid ground of a plane, a bridge, or a building ledge, the fundamental force that has governed your entire life takes absolute control. Gravity. There is no gentle slope, no gradual descent. It is an instantaneous, silent, and total surrender to a downward acceleration of 9.8 meters per second, every second. In that first fraction of a moment, before the air even registers your presence, you are in a state of pure freefall, a perfect parabola dictated by physics. You don't feel the fall yet. You simply feel weightless, as if the entire universe has dropped away from you. But the universe fights back. As your velocity increases, you begin to collide with the atmosphere. Trillions upon trillions of air molecules strike your body, a gentle patter that rapidly escalates into a violent, roaring force. This is wind resistance, or aerodynamic drag. It pushes against every inch of your exposed surface, a physical barrier growing stronger with every meter you fall. Your body, an imperfect aerodynamic object, begins to tumble and flail against this invisible wall. Eventually, the upward force of the air resistance will equal the downward pull of gravity. You will stop accelerating. You have reached terminal velocity. For a human in a standard belly-to-earth position, this is around 195 kilometers per hour, or 122 miles per hour. A head-down dive can push that past 320 kilometers per hour. You are no longer falling faster, but you are still falling at a speed few humans will ever experience, a constant, screaming rush toward the ground below. While your body battles the laws of physics, your brain initiates its own frantic protocol for survival. The amygdala, the brain's primal fear center, floods your system with an unprecedented surge of adrenaline and norepinephrine. This isn't the jolt you get from a near miss in traffic. This is a biological cataclysm. Your heart rate skyrockets, pupils dilate to their absolute maximum, and your bronchial passages widen, forcing in as much oxygen as possible. But the most profound effect is on your perception of time. This is time dilation, or tachypsychia. Your brain begins processing sensory information at such an incredibly high frame rate that external events seem to slow down dramatically. Seconds stretch into what feel like minutes. The wind isn't just a sound, it's a textured, layered roar you can dissect. The clouds don't just pass, they drift by in slow, deliberate motion. It is the brain's desperate attempt to give you more time to process, to react, to find a solution that, in this scenario, almost certainly does not exist. Why do some people, against all odds, remain conscious during this entire terrifying ordeal? It's a question that defies simple explanation. The combination of extreme terror, sensory overload, and the rapid pressure changes should, logically, induce syncope, or fainting. Yet, in many documented cases, from skydive malfunctions to horrific falls, survivors report a state of hyper-awareness. It may be a macabre lottery of individual biology, a unique resilience of the cardiovascular system, to maintain blood flow to the brain against overwhelming G-forces and stress hormones. For flight attendant Vesna Vulović, who survived a 10,160-meter fall, her reported low blood pressure might have paradoxically saved her, preventing her heart from rupturing under the initial shock. For others, it's a testament to the sheer, stubborn refusal of the conscious mind to extinguish itself, forcing the individual to be a helpless, lucid passenger on their own final journey. Even in the relative stability of terminal velocity, your body is under immense strain. While the overall G-force on your core is near zero, the sensation of weightlessness. Your limbs are another story. As they flail in the violent wind, they can be subjected to significant, erratic G-forces. The wind can catch an arm or a leg, whipping it with enough force to cause dislocations or even fractures, a phenomenon documented in forensic analysis of fall victims. Internally, your organs, no longer held in place by the familiar downward pull of gravity on a stable surface, are essentially floating within their cavities. The rapid deceleration upon impact is, of course, the fatal event, but the freefall itself is not a benign experience. It is a violent, chaotic state that pushes the structural integrity of the human form to its absolute limit. The annals of human history are punctuated by stories that seem to defy the very laws of nature. Vesna Vulovic's survival of the Jet Flight 367 bombing in 1972 is perhaps the most famous. She fell over 10 kilometers, trapped within a fuselage section that crash-landed at an angle in a snowy, wooded mountainside, a combination of factors that miraculously dissipated the fatal energy. BASC jumper Chris McNamara survived a 700-foot fall in 1999 when his chute malfunctioned, landing in a deep pool of water, shattering nearly every bone, but surviving. In skydiving, there are numerous accounts of individuals whose main and reserve parachutes failed, only to be saved by landing in soft earth, marshland, or dense foliage. Each story is a 1 in a billion confluence of body orientation, impact surface, and sheer dumb luck. They are the exceptions that prove the terrifyingly absolute rule. The nature of the fall is also critically shaped by its origin. A fall from a high-altitude aircraft is a journey through different atmospheric layers. You begin in thin, freezing air, with temperatures plummeting far below zero. The lack of oxygen at that altitude can induce hypoxia, a state of confusion or unconsciousness, long before the ground is even a concern. A fall from a building is a much shorter, more violent affair. Terminal velocity may not even be reached. The proximity of the ground and the visual rush of the building's facade create a uniquely dizzying and immediate horror. A fall from a bridge often adds another variable, water. Contrary to popular belief, hitting water from a significant height is not like diving into a pool. At high velocities, the surface tension of water makes it as unyielding as concrete, resulting in massive blunt force trauma. The grim task of understanding the final moments often falls to medical examiners. Forensic pathology reports from high-fall cases paint a stark, inconsistent picture. The pattern of injuries is often devastatingly widespread, a condition referred to as polytrauma. The primary impact side shows the most severe damage, with catastrophic fractures to the skull, spine, pelvis, and long bones. But it's the internal damage that reveals the true violence of the deceleration. Organs like the liver, spleen, and heart, propelled by inertia, are torn from their vascular and ligamentous tethers. The aorta, the body's largest artery, frequently ruptures at a specific point near the spine, a hallmark injury of sudden, extreme deceleration. These findings, detailed in journals and FAA accident reports, provide a silent, scientific testimony to the overwhelming forces a human body endures when it meets an immovable object at terminal velocity. Ultimately, your fate in a freefall is a negotiation between your body and the air. Your orientation is the single variable you might control. By spreading your arms and legs wide, belly to earth, you maximize your surface area and create more drag, slowing your descent. This is the stable position skydivers use. Conversely, by pulling your limbs in and pointing your head down, you become more aerodynamic, minimizing drag and drastically increasing your terminal velocity. This is a choice between a slower, more stable fall and a faster, more direct plunge. It's a final, desperate act of physics and attempt to manipulate the forces that have taken complete and utter control, to manage the final seconds of a journey through the empty sky, before the world below rushes up to meet you.